Hello, this is Dr. Naveed bringing you the latest update on world affairs and global security developments. New reports emerging from the strategically vital Strait of Hormuz indicate that multiple cargo vessels have been stuck in the region, raising serious concerns about the stability of international shipping routes. According to reports highlighted by CNN, a Thai flagged cargo ship caught fire after an explosion near its stern while sailing through the narrow waterway near Iran. Rescue teams were able to save 20 crew members, but several sailors were initially reported missing. The incident is part of a wider pattern of maritime attacks that have occurred since the beginning of the current regional crisis. Authorities monitoring maritime safety say that more than a dozen vessels may have been affected in recent weeks. The Strait of Hormuz is one of the most critical energy corridors in the world because nearly 20 million barrels of oil pass through it every day. Any disruption in this narrow passage can immediately affect global oil markets, shipping insurance, and international trade. As a result, the latest incidents have raised alarm among governments, shipping companies, and energy markets across the world. The recent attack on the Thai flagged vessel illustrates how vulnerable shipping traffic can be in this narrow corridor. Officials from maritime authorities reported that the explosion occurred in the rear section of the ship, triggering a fire inside the engine room. Crew members were quickly ordered to evacuate by the captain and moved into lifeboats before rescue operations began. Naval units from nearby regional forces helped recover the survivors from the water. While many were rescued safely, the incident underscores the dangers that commercial vessels now face while navigating the area. Shipping companies are increasingly concerned that attacks on cargo ships could expand beyond oil tankers to other forms of international trade. This is significant because global commerce relies heavily on maritime transportation. Everyday products ranging from electronics to food supplies often travel through these sea routes before reaching international markets. When attacks occur in such a narrow and strategically vital corridor, shipping companies must reconsider their routes and security procedures. Insurance costs for cargo vessels also rise significantly during times of conflict. As a result, the entire shipping industry becomes more cautious, which can slow global trade and increase transportation costs worldwide. The importance of the Strait of Hormuz cannot be overstated. Geographically, it is a narrow waterway connecting the Persian Gulf to the Arabian Sea. At its narrowest point, the navigable shipping lane is only a few miles wide. This makes it one of the most vulnerable choke points in global trade. Energy analysts estimate that roughly one-fifth of the world's oil supply passes through this route each day. Countries across Asia, Europe, and North America depend on this energy flow to power their industries and transportation systems. When shipping traffic slows or stops, the effects are felt across the entire global economy. The current security situation has already caused some shipping companies to suspend operations in the region temporarily. Several vessels have reportedly been stranded on either side of the strait because operators fear entering the high-risk zone. As a result, oil shipments have slowed dramatically. This reduction in supply has already triggered fluctuations in global oil prices. Energy markets are extremely sensitive to disruptions in key transit routes, and traders closely watch developments in the region to anticipate future price movements. Beyond the immediate maritime incidents, the wider regional situation appears to be intensifying. Several Gulf countries have reported aerial alerts and interceptions over the past 24 hours. Authorities in the region have confirmed that some aerial devices were intercepted near critical infrastructure areas. In one instance, reports indicated that an aerial object landed near facilities close to a major international airport in Dubai, within the United Arab Emirates. Emergency services responded quickly, and flights resumed operations shortly afterward. Although the disruption was temporary, the incident highlighted the growing concern among regional governments about potential threats to civilian infrastructure. Neighboring states such as Bahrain, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia have also increased security alerts across key facilities and transportation hubs. The Gulf region hosts some of the world's most important energy infrastructure, including refineries, shipping terminals, and export ports. Because of this concentration of strategic assets, any escalation in the conflict could have serious consequences for global energy supply and international trade networks. Diplomatic reactions across the region have reflected growing frustration and concern. Officials from several Gulf states have warned that the current escalation could have been predicted if tensions continued to rise. One senior spokesperson from Qatar emphasized that regional leaders had repeatedly cautioned about the risks of military confrontation in the area. According to the statement, the latest developments demonstrate how quickly conflicts can spill over into neighboring countries and affect civilian infrastructure. The Gulf region is home to numerous multinational corporations, energy facilities, and international transportation hubs. Many global technology and logistics companies operate offices and data centers across the region. As tensions increase, businesses must reassess their security arrangements and contingency plans. The potential targeting of commercial or technological assets would further complicate the situation and could expand the conflict into new economic domains. This growing uncertainty is why many regional governments are urging restraint and renewed diplomatic engagement. Maintaining stability in the Gulf is not only a regional priority but also a global one because the area remains central to international energy supply and commercial shipping routes. Shipping companies and logistics firms are also reacting to the situation with increasing caution. Some major maritime operators have reported that their vessels are now stranded near the northern entrance of the Strait of Hormuz, waiting for security conditions to improve before continuing their journey. Others have temporarily halted new voyages through the region altogether. These decisions reflect the difficult calculations faced by global shipping companies during times of conflict. If vessels enter the strait and an incident occurs, the financial and human consequences could be severe. On the other hand, avoiding the route entirely can delay deliveries and disrupt supply chains. The situation becomes even more complicated because alternative routes are not always available. Many shipping companies are also reluctant to send vessels through the Red Sea due to security risks in that region as well. As a result, global logistics networks are facing one of their most challenging operational environments in recent years. The longer the disruption continues, the greater the impact on international trade and manufacturing supply chains. Industry leaders warn that prolonged disruption could lead to serious supply chain congestion worldwide. Major ports and shipping hubs across the Gulf serve as critical transfer points for goods traveling between Asia, Europe, and Africa. Facilities in cities such as Abu Dhabi and Dubai handle enormous volumes of cargo each year. If vessels cannot safely enter or leave these hubs, shipping schedules begin to collapse. Containers may remain stranded on ships or at port terminals, preventing them from reaching factories and retail markets. This ripple effect can eventually affect manufacturing industries far from the Middle East. For example, car manufacturers, electronics producers, and food distributors rely on timely shipments of materials and products. When shipping delays accumulate, production lines may slow down and consumer prices may rise. Economists often describe this process as a supply chain shock, where disruptions in transportation create shortages or delays across multiple sectors of the economy. The current situation demonstrates how interconnected global trade has become. Military analysts also note that the situation in the Strait of Hormuz involves complex strategic dynamics. The narrow geography of the waterway means that even small disruptions can block traffic. Some experts believe that underwater obstacles or other maritime threats could be used to restrict movement through the channel. If this occurs, clearing the passage would require significant international coordination and naval resources. Security analysts emphasize that such tactics are designed to create pressure without requiring large-scale military engagement. By threatening a key economic corridor, a country can influence global markets and diplomatic negotiations simultaneously. This strategy is often described as isometric pressure because it targets economic vulnerabilities rather than traditional military positions. In a globalized world where trade and energy supply chains are highly interconnected, such pressure can have far-reaching consequences. The current events illustrate how geopolitical competition increasingly extends beyond traditional battlefields into economic and logistical domains. Another important development reported during the crisis involves an incident at a diplomatic support facility in Baghdad, located in Iraq. Security officials reported that the site was struck overnight by an aerial device. Although investigations are still ongoing, analysts believe the attack may have been carried out by regional militia groups aligned with broader strategic interests. Such actions demonstrate how conflicts in one region can expand into neighboring countries through proxy actors. In modern geopolitical conflicts, non state groups often play an important role by targeting logistical centers, communication hubs, or diplomatic facilities. These attacks may not always cause large scale damage, but they can send strong political messages and increase regional tensions. Analysts warn that if multiple groups across different countries become involved, the conflict could spread into a wider regional confrontation. This possibility is one reason why international observers are closely monitoring developments across the Middle East. Looking ahead, the central question for global leaders is how long the disruption in the Strait of Hormuz will continue. If maritime traffic remains restricted for an extended period, the economic consequences could be significant. Oil prices, shipping costs, and insurance premiums may continue to rise, affecting industries around the world. At the same time, governments and international organizations are likely to intensify diplomatic efforts to stabilize the situation. Ensuring safe navigation through major shipping corridors is considered a fundamental principle of international trade. For this reason, many countries have a shared interest in preventing further escalation. The coming days and weeks will therefore be critical in determining whether the current crisis stabilizes or expands further. What is clear is that the Strait of Hormuz remains one of the most strategically important waterways on the planet. Events unfolding in this narrow passage continue to influence global markets, regional security, and international diplomacy. Thank you for watching. This is Dr. Naveed bringing you global affairs analysis. Stay informed, and I will see you in the next update.